Franna. Hi. We are in Amsterdam now for the 5th episode of the Sciarone Salon. This is my beautiful sister, Frances. Frances, tell the people more about you.
Yeah, so I just finished my master in health sciences. It's a mix between biostatistics and epidemiology, so all things public health related and research and prevention and policy. I have my bachelor's in nutrition and dietetics, so I have a bit more of a nutritional background, nothing to do with art history, but I think art history is always somewhere to be found in something. I'm very curious about what I'm going to learn today.
Yeah, because what is your background with art? Because you danced ballet.
Okay, so I think I danced ballet for a very long time, at least 12 years. And and I've always went to performances, recital by different events, but also in the theater. And in high school, I also was at a dance academy, and dancing was part of my everyday life. I also do contemporary and have dipped my toe in hip hop and stuff like that. So I'm also familiar with those movements in the dance world.
Frances brings a really unique perspective, and today we're going to do one of the oldest art philosophies, Plato. Do you know Plato?
Yeah, of course.
Well, people have been trying to explain Plato to me and the Allegory of the Cave for more than 15 years, and it took a really long time for me to be able to integrate that. So you're getting the most basic art philosophy. Bless you. Okay, today we're going to talk about Plato and Aristotle. Frances, did you know that the guy who lays the foundation for Western philosophy, Plato, wanted to banish all artists from his perfect society? He essentially argued that artists are liars, deceivers, and a corrupting influence on good people.
Why is that?
Yeah.
No, what is good people?
Yeah.
Like boring people?
Well, he says that they're just a mockery of what's really in the world.
Yeah, but it's like art is a unique perspective. That's how they perceive the world, and that's nice that you can see it through someone else's lens. So I think it's actually really nice to be able to do that. And like, why would you want to take away someone else's vision? That's so rude, actually.
Okay, so my pre-existing thought is that this debate is a bedrock of how we've judged art for centuries. It's all about the concept of mimesis or imitation, but it's way more complicated than it sounds. We already alluded to it. It's very complicated, but also not. So, all right, let's set the thing. We're in ancient Greece, 4th century before our current era. Our main characters are Plato and his student Aristotle. Plato was born into an aristocratic Athenian family and was the student of Socrates, the founder of the academy, the first institution of higher learning in the Western world. His core question was massive. What is a just society, and how do we know what is truly real with a capital R? Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so fascinating.
No, we'll get further into it. Plato believed that the world of perfect forms or ideas, the form of a chair, the form of beauty, the form of justice. The physical chair we sit on is just as flawed as shadowy copies made by artists.
Yeah, I don't know if you would call this a chair, but okay. I think it's comfy. 10 out of 10.
So, but where he says this chair is only perfect when it exists in your mind. The moment someone makes it, it's already one step away.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And then if the artist paints it, it's just a copy of a copy, and that's why it's bad.
Yeah. But what is the real thing then? The thought?
The thought. That the only thing real in this world is the ideal thought of
how you omschrijf, how you define what's real. Like some people only think what's real is that what you can physically touch. Mm-hmm. But not everyone can see what's in your head, so therefore it's not real for everyone. Therefore, it's cannot be seen as normal by the majority. So it would actually, some people would stay the optimist, like me.
Yeah, and this is also from a period where he's like, what I think is how everyone thinks, and this is actually not a problem in our society until around about the end of the Second World War, where we assume there's like one ideal, one right way, one just way.
Well, I don't think that is necessarily true, but I just feel like this guy is also like very on the other end of the perspective, and it's just like, can you just bring some balance to everything? Not everything has to be one thing or the other thing.
That's true. So now we have Aristotle. He was from Sciarone and came to Athens to study at Plato's academy, and he was his star pupil for 20 years. But after Plato died, Aristotle famously said, "I love my teacher, but I love the truth more." He was much more of an empiricist. He trusted what he could observe in the natural world. His core question was, how do we understand our world and our place in it through observation and reason? We said this core question was, how do we understand our world and our place in it through observation and reason? So you've got Plato looking for perfect ideals beyond the world, and Aristotle getting his hands dirty categorizing plants and animals. So which approach do you find in finding truth feels more natural or reliable to you? Working from an internal source or from an external source?
Well, it depends if you're schizophrenic or not.
Do you want to elaborate?
Well, like let's say, like if you're schizophrenic, you like hear stuff that are not there for other people, but if you're not, you do. Like so, then it's like by an average or by the majority of people can seen as true. Whereas if you're schizophrenic, like you can only as one person hear or see it, and that's the same with your thoughts, no? So. Like, and people would not say that people who hear like voices when they are schizophrenic, that is the truth.
I like this take.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into what is mimesis, Francis.
Okay.
You put it beautifully. There's a fundamental difference in how they saw reality between Aristotle and Plato. But like you just said, also like there's a fundamental difference how we all actually see reality, and that's how we look at it now. But even like mental illnesses can play into that. So mimesis, Francis, is our key word of the day.
Okay, mimesis.
Yeah.
Mimesis.
Most people translate it as imitation, but it's more than that. It's about portrayal, the mirror of our reality. It's not just a photo-perfect copy, it's art that reveals the inner character of its subject. Now, Plato used this term. He saw the chain of creation like this. Oh, bless you. Okay, so Plato used the term of mimesis and he saw the creation of it like this. First, you have the perfect form with a big F, say a bed. This is the ultimate reality. Then a carpenter makes a physical bed. This is already a flawed copy because it's once removed from the truth. Then an artist comes along and paints the bed. This is a copy of a copy twice removed from the perfect truth. So for Plato, art is a lie, it's an illusion. But his hatred goes deeper. He was a moralist. He believed art corrupts because it appeals to our emotions, not our reason. A tragic play makes us feel pity and fear. A comedy makes us laugh at base instincts. For Plato, a just society is governed by cool, calm reason, and art is the enemy of that. Do you think there's any validity to his fear? Because most economists also work from an ideal perspective, even though we know an economy.
Yeah. I think he is controlling as well. Yeah, fear is a big word. Why? What does he think the art will bring to the people that like would obstruct their way of thinking that is so bad? Like I don't understand that exactly.
That is such a flawed version of reality.
So
I think it also comes from his allegory of the cave, that we are all shackled to the reality as when we look at it, and we can only be released from being chained in this cave looking at reality when we know what we're looking at is fake. Do you know the allegory of the cave?
I think, yeah. But if you know it's fake, then like...
Why is it bothering you?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good take. But Plato admired order, symmetry, and mathematical proportions because they reflected a kind of eternal, rational truth. But the representational art that told stories and stirred passions, that had to go. Now enters Aristotle with his defense.
Okay.
He agreed that art is mimesis, but he completely redefined it. For him, art isn't just slavishly copying the world as it is, but it is also as it could and should be. And then art has the ability to reveal universal truth about the human conditions. He pointed to Greek tragedies as the highest form of art. These plays weren't literal reality, they had gods and monsters, but they captured the pure essence of human experience: love, betrayal, pride, and fate. By watching these stories, the audience undergoes catharsis, a purging or purification of messy emotions. Instead of corrupting you, art cleanses you. So Aristotle's idea of catharsis is a pretty wonderful defense. Have you ever had an experience with a film or a book that felt like a release or purification of like a big emotion?
Those exact...
Not like crying at a sad movie and feeling better afterwards.
Well, I've had like when like a movie gets really emotional, or there's like a really beautiful reunion, and that builds up to that, and I could like cry, and it's very, and I just think, oh, that's so beautiful, you know, stuff like that. And also when you're making art yourself, it can also be a great release.
A great catharsis, yeah. Because I cry a lot at the Page Labrador puppy commercial. It's not been on for years, but like it makes me like cry every time.
Yeah.
It's just so bittersweet and cute.
Yeah, I had to cry commercial also a few years ago, but now I'm on medication, so I don't anymore.
Okay, we won't give too much information about medications and stuff like that. Okay, so so in terms of influence, this idea that art should hold a mirror to reality dominated for centuries. The Renaissance obsession with perfect idealized human bodies, that's Neoplatonism, trying to show the ideal form of a person through art. The entire tradition of realistic painting and literature, like Charles Dickens' novels holding a mirror to social injustice, is rooted in this debate. So, like, Renaissance paintings, those people are jacked.
Yeah, yeah.
But if all your muscles were actually defined like that, it would break your spine. Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
So literally hundreds and hundreds of years of art history is based in Plato, and that's why he is our first philosophical lens that we look through, because a lot of people love realism. So have you seen also examples of this ancient debate? For instance, like when people praise a film for being gritty and realistic, or a novel for being true mirror of our times?
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, have you ever seen like this debate in your friend group or like online that people are like, wow, this is such a good film?
Most people I know appreciate, for instance, film more if it's a good depiction of reality with everything raw, like how it could be in real life, and people seem to appreciate that more than like a glamorized ideal version of stuff. Then I guess people just like what feels real to them and what is relatable. And I think if it's relatable, that makes them feel something.
Okay, yeah, it makes them definitely feel something. So what Mimesis did get right is the strength of the theory is like art gives a powerful purpose. For Aristotle, it's not just decoration, it's a tool for understanding life and achieving emotional balance. And we already said like it's valuable because it helps us process human emotions, or it's valuable because it lets us either it makes us feel something. According to Aristotle, you're safely releasing feelings of pity or fear in a controlled environment. Like it's a philosophical therapy. Another strength is that Mimesis champions art that makes us think about our shared humanity and social reality. Think about the novel like The Handmaid's Tale. It's not real, even though...
Yeah, it's really kind of real.
Yeah, it's really kind of real now, but Margaret Atwood has said like this has happened.
Yeah.
It mirrors our political and social fear so powerfully that it feels more real than reality. It reveals an inner truth.
Yeah.
Can you think of another piece of art or a movie, a show or a song that functions this way for you? One that feels like it captures a deeper truth about life, even if it's not literally real?
Yeah, I think a lot. I just think if there's anything on the top of my head. Yeah, I've actually also recently watched The Handmaid's Tale, and I do really like resonate it, especially like how slowly like it builds up, and you have some red flags here and there, but they still ignore it, or they just like doing, okay, we can do our own way of life, and before they know it, they don't take any action, and before they know it, they're living in a new different reality. And I was also watching this other movie came out recently, and basically she wrote this book of her political views, and it's very extreme. And then you see that she gets engaged to this woman that is like to the son of this woman who has a different, who's like completely on the other end of the spectrum, and she's like a professor at the university. And then she discovers, oh, my son is engaged to this woman, I don't stand behind her, la la la. And then like she accepts it for her son, and then at like 10 years time, she has completely taken over the whole country in her views.
Mother or the daughter-in-law?
Not the daughter-in-law, the mother was basically, well, I'm not going to spoil. Yeah.
Oh, she's not going to spoil. Okay, we also don't know the...
Yeah, well, I'm going to look it up later, yeah.
Comment if you know what...
It's like the la la la. Sorry, I just saw the name, it's called Anniversary.
Okay, so the name of the series is Anniversary.
It's a film, yeah.
The film. Comment if you got it right. But so the question I was asking is, do you think this focus on technical skill and realism is still a valid measure of an artist's talent?
Technical skill and?
Realism, like that they paint realistically or they create.
Yeah, I think it really is a skill. Like, for instance, you want to draw a chair. Like a chair is, a chair has like 4 of these things, and it's something you can lean against. But just because you know it's there, it doesn't necessarily what you see from different perspectives. Let's say from the front, I only see the first 3 things. So you have to have like, let your own knowledge go and only like draw what you see to get like the most realistic
visual representation
of the chair. And I think like I have seen a lot of people that find this very difficult to do.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill that is not as...
Because if you would ask a child to draw a chair, he would just do like 2 squares and 4 like all those.
The chair legs.
Yeah.
But so no theory is perfect, and Mimesis has taken some huge hits in the last century. First, an art historian named Ernest Gombrich asked a simple but devastating question. Does the painter paint what he sees, or does he see what he can paint? So that he argued there's no innocent eye. Every artist paints based on their existing knowledge, their culture, and their technical skills. He used the example of Albrecht Dürer's famous Rhino woodcut. It looks wildly inaccurate to us because we've seen photos of rhinos or actually seen them ourselves. But Durer was working from a description of a rhino.
Yeah.
He painted what he understood, not what he saw. So art tells us more about the artist's mind than about the objective reality. Because, for example, I can't paint trees and I can't paint waterscapes. So I don't ever paint it because every time it looks stupid.
Yeah.
Do you think like some people just create what they can create, or do you think?
I think both. Like what you create, how you see it, but also within how you see it within limits of what you can make.
Yeah, it limits what you can make. So, so you would say also with more skill and more knowledge, you can create more.
Yeah, definitely.
So then a more radical critique was from Nelson Goodman. He didn't just want to critique Mimesis, he wanted to destroy it. He said that realism is not about imitation at all, it's about convention and tradition. Think about it, we see a black and white photo and call it realistic, but that's a convention we've learned. A medieval painting looks unrealistic to us because we're trained in the convention of linear perspective. Goodman argued that art is a symbol system and we only find it realistic if it follows the symbolic rules we're familiar with. And I would also come back to how people say like, people only engage with art that they know. So a lot of Dutch people learn about art from the 17th century here, so they love 17th century realism.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Because they understand the symbolics behind it.
Yeah, I think if you also know the meaning and like the history of something, it becomes more interesting. Like even for instance, these things that I see here, I don't know who the painter is, where the person got their inspiration from, or like what this style is called. But if I would know those things, I would really take more time to stare at it more.
So you would appreciate it if you had more knowledge on the subject.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Yeah.
And then we get in the arts, we always get like the circle back. If I know it, I like it. If I like it, I get to know more of it. The more I know of it, the more I like it.
If you know it, you can also learn to like it.
This idea that realism is just a set of rules we've agreed upon is pretty radical. Like, can you think of a style of art, maybe anime or cubism, that has its own internal realism that you've learned to understand?
Let me think.
Because I would say like we all know Van Gogh so well that we don't mind that his perspective isn't realistic.
Yeah, I think I have it with like
Caricatures, yeah.
Like some things are really exaggerated in different types of way, or even if they are extremely simplified, but you still, like a child would still get like, oh, that is a tree, that is what represents a tree.
Or that's mommy, you know, in the caricature.
And like, oh, even this proportionally her nose is 3 times as big as her head, it still makes sense, like you know what it is.
Yeah, you know who it is, you know who it's representing. So we will also say it's a system of representation, not an absolute mirror. This is why abstract art like Jackson Pollock can be so powerful as well. It makes no attempt to imitate reality, but it can still convey raw emotion and energy. It completely shatters the Mimesis model. So with all these critiques in mind, where does it leave our two Greek giants? Do their arguments feel a bit outdated? Is there still a core of truth in them? And that's like the big question that we also want to ask the listeners. Is it still a useful question to have if an artwork is still realistic? Or have we moved completely beyond this? Because this is like a 4,000-year-old theory. So send us an email to the Salon at gmail.com. The Sciarone Salon, T-H-E, the Sciarone, S-C-I-A-R-O-N-E, Sciarone Salon, S-A-L-O-N, at gmail.com with your thoughts, and we will read our favorites in the season finale. Francis, what's your final take after this world war?
I find it so interesting. It was so long ago, and like you just think like people from long ago didn't have like these intricate thoughts or like we have today, but they really did. And I think like even for people in that time where stuff like that, they couldn't learn in school. It was like a new food for thought, and they think of those stuff. That's a really interesting take. And I think if they all would they would know history more. Like, let's say Socrates would, Plato, would live today, and he would have read every perspective, like from different artists and thinkers, then his perspective would change as well. But I also think like what he said in the beginning is like a catalysis for like more thought about how we interpret art and what we have it, why we have it, and why we love it or why we don't.
Yeah, so Aristotle was the one that defended art, and Plato was the one that we only have to live in a world of reason and logic. And everything is superfluous. And we talk a lot about this with other sisters as well, like these are lenses we can look through, but no lens is perfect once you actually have to apply it.
Well, I don't really agree with like their view, like it's like too narrow for me. But I do think it is important that they had these views so that we can start thinking about it and also thinking about it in different ways.
Yeah, because you can only take a stand if there's something to take a stand against.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so guys, let us know if you're team Plato, team Aristotle, or team this is all too complicated, just let me enjoy the painting.